Hey everyone, welcome to a quick video I wanted to make showing off all my different handheld controls for the Nintendo Switch, especially the kind of crazy shmup setup I have going. But before I get to that, I wanted to show sort of my more standard, recognizable ways of playing games on this. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, the Nintendo Switch for me is 99.9% a handheld. I don't think I've hooked up the dock for it in over a year. I play it handheld mode almost all the time, almost exclusively. To me, it's basically a handheld. But what makes it really cool and different from other handhelds in the past, as much as I love the 3DS and I love the PS Vita, is the fact that these Joy-Cons can be taken off and replaced and swapped out. I think that was a brilliant design move from Nintendo, absolutely brilliant. And now I can't think of a handheld with like stuck-in controls, because I think it's really cool how you can swap out the different parts and stuff like that. And as you see, I'm not using any stock parts right now. So on the left here, this is the Hori D-pad Joy-Con. I don't think it has a more fancy name than that. This is the Japanese model, so I imported it. That's why it's blue. I bought this before the American model was released. The American model that I've seen is stuff like The Legend of Zelda and those types of things. I would assume that the build quality is the same, but owning the Japanese, I think this version, its build quality is absolutely fantastic. One of the best D-pads I've ever used. I think it's better than the DualShock 4 D-pad. It's better than pretty much all its competitors out right now as far as D-pads. I think it's almost better than the other Fighting Commander D-pads from Hori. I don't know why this one specifically is so good, but it's absolutely amazing D-pad. Better than the Super Nintendo D-pad, I think, as far as these like traditional style ones. I don't know why it's so good, but it's very, very good. Then over here on the right, I have the right half of the Hori Split Pad Pro. This is was made for some mech game and something like that, but I absolutely recommend getting it to all Switch users, because even I pretty much leave the right side of it on at all times, because it makes holding and playing the game so much more comfortable. You get a much better grip, and you can basically hold the entire handheld from the right side, and then you can have a much easier time controlling it with your left hand, because you're not also having to hold it as much. The buttons feel really nice. It feels like you're playing, an Xbox One, Xbox 360 controller for the most part. Very, very good. The trigger's also really nice. I absolutely recommend this, and you can just leave it stuck on the right side at all times. That's pretty much what I do. The only downfall of it, of course, is that it's bulky, but the Switch is a bulky handheld to begin with, so I just let it rock, So yeah, so then let's go to my neck configuration here, which is what I call my 3D mode. So 3D mode is I just put both sides of the Split Pad Pro on, the left and the right side. Not too surprisingly, when you look at the way it's designed, the D-pad of it, which is another Hori D-pad, just is not nearly as good as that blue D-pad I was showing you before. It feels sort of similar, but its placement is pretty awkward and weird. So if you want to play with a D-pad, use the other one. But if you want to play 3D games like Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Legend of Zelda, basically anything 3D that involves analog sticks, Doom 2 now is out, you gotta get the Split Pad Pro for it, because it makes it so much more comfortable and playable. I cleared Resident Evil 3 times in handheld mode with this thing, so an absolute recommend from myself. Also very, very good. So now I'll bring you to the craziest way I play this. So here we go. What the hell are we looking at? This is actually something, if you followed my channel from long ago, this is a mod you might recognize, but I updated it actually today, which is, I call it the Fingerstick. But this is two mods stacked together. So on the left here, this is actually a stock Joy-Con, but I've replaced the case with that D-pad. I don't know if you guys remember this, but before Hori came out with its own D-pad Joy-Con, the way that people were doing it was you'd buy a case, and then the case would come with this D-pad thing. The thing about it is that it felt weird, because the switches underneath are actually buttons. They're not like D-pad type micro switches or whatever, or contact. And so it gave it a really bouncy, springy quality, and it was really shallow. It felt really bad to play, and so for a long time I just held on to it. I was like, okay, I'm never going to use this again. This is basically junk. But one day I was like, I was looking into, I wanted to basically play the handheld with an arcade stick sort of design here. And so I made this little arcade stick lever type thing. I might make, if you guys are interested, I might make a video on how to put this together. It's actually not that hard to put together. And then it's connected onto this. And surprisingly, because it's not a true D-pad, it's like these contact buttons, it makes it so it actually functions much better than you think it would. It is kind of like playing with a little arcade stick. And so let me show that off for you. This is how I absolutely play it. Oh, this is just another viewing angle of it. This isn't the prettiest thing, but it's definitely prettier than the older ways I did it with just the bald pen cap. So what it is that it's a chopped off piece of a pen. The reason why you use a pen and not like a pencil or a stick or metal lever or anything is because it's hollow inside. That's actually important. So that you put the pen down and then you fill the pen up with hot glue, and it kind of welds into that D-pad much better. And then I'd use these little pieces of hot glue just to support it in there, kind of hold it up better. It's surprisingly on there, as ghetto as this looks, but I'll show you it in action in a second here. But yeah, so you want it to be like a pen cap hollowed, and then I wrapped it in electric tape, and then I put a bolt inside it, and then wrapped the bolt and glued it in as kind of like a cap. Again, pretty homebrew type stuff, but it's actually really fun to use. And so let me show you it in action. And I apologize that the camera could never quite get Esperade into focus, but I wanted to show this, just showing off it in action. It has this little tiny throw on it too, which is kind of fun. So you don't need to move it around too much. Again, it's actually not that different from playing in an arcade stick. It definitely gives that sort of arcade stick feel more than any kind of D-pad or anything like that. And you can't actually do this on Split Pad Pro or on the Hori D-pad or on like a regular D-pad. You have to do it on top of this weird case mod, because like I said, it actually is more like a arcade stick because there's contacts right beneath there. So you're just bouncing off the contacts. It's easy to hit diagonals. It feels surprisingly good, and so this is how I actually like to play. And since you have that Split Pad Pro on the right, you can basically hold it up with your right hand pretty comfortably, and so you can concentrate more on controlling it with the left hand much more easily than you would with something like the stock Joycon. You can also use this with the flip grip. The only reason why I didn't in this video is because I can't find my flip grip. It's been so long since I've used it, I can't figure out where it is, but you could use this with a flip grip as well because this is a stock Joycon. So anyway, I'll let the rest of this play out. Again, sorry it doesn't come into focus, but at least you got audio, and I just wanted to show my hand and the little stick in action more than the actual game itself anyway. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll thank my patrons at the end. So thank you to Dingo, Anthony A, Ben Wynn, Brian Shiver, Dunpill 2064, EC2151, Eric H, Full Set, Retro Schmupper, Gus, Kiwi, Jake Ryan, Joe Angelo, John, Game Boy Guru, Kay, Quentin, Malaise, Mark Sloan, Maz, Meher Kalendrian, Nathaniel Davis, and Electron, Neon Daggers, Okla Kugels, Parlar, Rysosis, Sertham, Sent Marap, Smacky Factor, Tsugumo, Turopon, Young Mini Sui, Yutakaya. Thanks for watching.